Now, inflation, what do we expect to see from kind of inflation and monetary policy standpoint, right? We did hear that the Fed said that they don't anticipate as many rate cuts as they originally had forecasted before the most recent one. I think the market also reacted because of that. So I don't think it was just the rate cut that they made. I think, the stock market in general, right, is like things happen in the stock market before they happen in the actual economy, right?
Because the people that matter the most, that have the most money, like these hedge funds,
right,
they got the information already.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when the Fed says, hey, we're going to cut now, but we don't anticipate making as many cuts in 2025, the market reacts right now. So what that means is when it actually happens, we're not going to see as much reaction. We've already kind of felt that. We saw the drop off in the last, few weeks of the year. Like the market peeled back a decent chunk, right? The last month of the year. So the good news in that is that a lot of the volatility that we expect when the lack of rate cuts happen in 2025, we're not going to see that big of a reaction. A lot of that's already happened, right? So we expect the inflation to still hover above what the Fed is forecasting, somewhere around 2.5 to 2.7. But I think the fallout or the reaction from it is not going to be that significant, just because of the announcement that was already made and the market already reacted. Right? I think we saw the same thing in 2022. Right? Markets sold off a bunch in 2022, but when the things were actually happening in 2023, the markets didn't react, and ultimately we saw some really good years in 2023 and 2024.
Yeah, and I think that one thing that I want people to just grasp and understand, you say inflation of 2.7%, right? That means if your money is not working for you,
right,
you're going to lose at least 3% of your money next year.
At least.
At this year. So if your money's not doing anything, you're going to lose 3% of it. So it just like really intensifies, or at least helps people understand in layman's terms that if you're not investing, you're literally losing money. Like, it's not like, oh, investing is risky because I might lose some money. Not investing is absolutely risky because you're guaranteed to lose at least 3% of your money. Some of y'all losing about 6% the last couple of years because inflation has been crazy.
Right.
So investing is not something that's optional. It's mandatory, and we can't neglect the necessary. So
big facts. And now I want to move into what most people care about, or most people get really excited about, is the stock market, right? What are we expecting from the stock market in 2025? Yeah. Okay. So when you look at historical context, anytime the market is up over 20% in consecutive years, the third year still is positive, but it's going to be closer to that 10, 11%, which you always hear, right? Like the stock market on average, that's 10, 11%, right? It's going to be closer to that. And you're going to feel it a lot more. So this is going to be a much more volatile year. You're going to earn that 10, 11%. Now, those over at, the Melanin Money, right, ecosystem, right, and all of our clients, it's going to be a little bit different, right? We're still going to experience volatility, but, we've outperformed the market for the past, 7 years, right? So we're not as pressed about that because we already knew this was coming, right? But whatever you get next year, even if you just invest in S&P, the volatility, the ebbs and flows, like what you're going to see your account do to get that 10% is going to feel a lot more hectic than it has in recent years.
Yeah, let me just get some pointers because because obviously you understand the stock market on a much higher level than average people. So I just want to kind of bring this down to surface level with a few things that you said earlier. Number one, the past 2 years, the S&P 500, meaning the total market, on average, did about over 20%.
Over 20% both years.
So if you go check your account, which you should go do, and look at your performance for 2023 and 2022, if your portfolio did less than 20%, you need to move your money from whoever you got managing it.
Facts.
Because if you just set it and forget it, bought the literal S&P 500 and did nothing for the last 24 months, you could have had 20% of your money each year. Right? Minimum. Like sleep. So if your money did less than that, you need to figure out somewhere new to put your money.
Right. Big facts.
Number one. Number two is more money is lost trying to predict the next recession than is actually lost during a recession.
Facts.
So just because George is saying they're going to be ebbs and flows, it doesn't mean you try to time the ebb and flow. Set your money, forget it. Dollar cost average. You invest in X amount of dollars per month. It's $1,000 a month, $500 a month, $50,000 a month. I don't care. Agree to that amount in January, and don't change it into December.
Big facts.
Because what the market's going to do, and your job is not to time the market. Your job is to have as much time in the market as you possibly can.
Big facts. As a matter of fact, Charles Schwab did a independent study, and they did some research and basically saw that if you missed just the 2 best trading days in a decade, right? Just if you just missed by trying to time the market, if you missed the 2 best trading days in a decade, your returns would be cut in half, right? If you miss the 4 best trading days over a 20-year period, your portfolio wouldn't have made any money. And if you miss the 6 best trading days in 30 years, you would be negative. What does that mean? That means that let's look at the decade. That means if you got it wrong once every other year, right? Or if you got it wrong once every half decade, right? You would cut your returns in half by just trying to predict when the market is going to do what it's going to do. And here's the crazy part. Typically, when you see the market fluctuations, all it means, the people that have been invested for a long time, they're taking profit. Yeah. So guess what happens typically after a sell-off, right? The market is up the next day. So you see that, oh my gosh, I want to sell all my money. Then literally the next day, right? And you can't even do nothing because you just took your money out. Yeah. So when you see all these people talking about timing the market, that's the part that they're not telling you. And they're not telling you that there's transaction fees. They're not telling you that there's short-term capital gains taxes, right? And when you do the math and you zoom out on what your actual real return is, right, it's almost always going to be less, right? So stay in the market. Stay in the market. Now, let's talk about some sectors or areas of the market that we expect to do well, right, in 2025 and beyond. Number one, of course, no-brainer, AI. Mm-hmm. Expect AI to do.
What was that Silicon Valley stat? 42% of Silicon Valley money went to AI in last
year. Yeah. 42% went to artificial intelligence.
That's almost 50% of the money in Silicon Valley, which, correct me if I'm wrong, that's like the most venture capital money in America, right?
Yep.
So 50% of majority of the venture capital money in America went to AI last year.
The AI. So all those companies, right? So even if a fraction of them do what they're supposed to do, right? So AI we expect to do really, really well, which is no surprise. Tech, right? We expect tech to continue to outperform, and also renewable energy, right? We expect renewable energy to do well. Now, the renewable energy is interesting. I know that's what I'm expecting to do well. I think like that's where the world is, but under this administration, it's interesting because Elon Musk is in Donald Trump's pocket, and we all know that Elon Musk is all about renewable energy with Tesla and things like that nature. But Donald Trump's a good old boy and all American, and I feel like the companies that back him, a lot of the companies that back him, are more inclined to like keep things as they are with like oil and all that stuff. So it'd be very interesting to see if renewable energy is going to be able to have the foothold that it should under this administration, based upon the people that lobby behind Donald Trump. But I still think that it's gonna shine a little bit in 2025.
Yeah, and I just think like, say what you want as Donald Trump as a president, but he runs America like a business.
Oh, for sure.
Like he's gonna run this country like a business, and doing that allows the country to have positive GDP and an increase in just the overall market. So I think one of the best things he did was bring Elon Musk on to really help with that. So I'm really eager to see what happens with that, and obviously what happens with Tesla stock in general.
Yeah, for sure. Some other things to be on the lookout for. Just after having 2 consecutive really positive years, I mentioned in the beginning about like changes in economic policy and how that might impact what we're doing. There could be a correction in the market, right? Like, I still think the year will end positively, but I think that we will have a potential moment or moments in 2025 where people are like, oh shit, like what's going on? You know what I mean? But given what we just said, if that happens, that's an opportunity to double down. That's an opportunity to buy assets on sale if you see that happen. But I do think that, again, if you think about if we really zoom out, right? Yes, we had the market sold off a little bit in 2022, but 2020 ended well. 2021 was good. 2022 did, bad. We thought we were going into a recession. In 2023 was outstanding. 2024 was good. I feel like we're due for some type, not crash, but some type of correction in 2025.
Yeah, what surprised me about 2024 is that 2024 felt like a squeeze in every fast of the word.
Yeah.
Like all like entrepreneurs that we know and like we're feeling it. Like,
Right.
you know, it was harder to make money.
Yep.
It was harder to sell stuff. People weren't buying it as much. But the stock market was still like doing very well.
Yeah.
And it was like, yo, like on the ground, it feels hot. But up there, y'all get the AC blowing some way, somehow.
Yeah.
And so I wouldn't be surprised if it's just a delay in overall things. And we see a downturn. But again, like when you go to the mall and you see your favorite pair of Jordans is on sale 40% off, what would you do? You would go buy 2 pairs because you would keep one and try to sell the next pair to make the money off the ones that you bought.
Right.
So if that's the case when you're consuming goods, that should be the same mindset you have when you're investing. If something's on sale, double down on the companies you love, get them at a discount, and then when the market goes up,
Right.
you're A1.
And when you're uncertain, right, this is a great time to diversify, which is why investing in the S&P 500 and things of that nature, if you're not immersed in the world of investing, this is a great time to diversify. It's like, I don't know what's going on, so let me just spread it out across everything,
Spread
right?
out across.
You know what I'm saying? It's a great time to diversify. You know, I'm big on concentration, and for me, not just the stock market, but also mainly from, you know, your career. I think now's a great time to like diversify your investments, but like really hone in on your own personal skill sets, right? Like, because when we see these ebbs and flows in the market and it feels like uncontrollable, like, well, control what you can control. You can't control the value that you bring to the marketplace. And I think now will be a great time to do that. And also some international exposure. I feel like because of how well the Magnificent Seven have done, a lot of people have been very heavily indexed in U.S. tech. I think now's a great time to see what's happening. Are there some international companies that are doing really well? Get some international exposure. Maybe even have some defensive positions, right? We know that Donald Trump is an All-American, right? Like, so when we look at just defense spending in general, maybe that's a good sector, right? What are some companies that do well under any economic condition, right? Consumer staples, consumer goods, like those things that typically is like, oh, they're just the safe bets in the portfolio. Those are the things that did really well in 2022. Right. So I think those are opportunities to reintroduce some of those in your portfolio, balance some things out. And if you don't know what to pick, right, buy index funds and just be diversified across the board.
Yeah, but I want to just harp on something you said earlier, because I think that's something I'm going to personally do. I'm probably going to invest more money in my skill set this year than I've done in previous years.
Right.
Because I have a set amount that I invest in the market, which is, you know, great. But like, and I do plan on doing that. But if push comes to shove, like, I'm just doubling down on me.
Right.
Because again, we know the more, like, if you can invest $1,000 a month, cool. But if you can invest $5,000 into yourself to make enough money where you can start investing $10,000 a month 6 months later, that's going to pay off way more than $1,000 a month.
Way more.
So if you're uncertain, you're like, I don't really know about investing in stocks because you might be in recession. Okay, you take that money and invest in the S&P 500. And that way you have more money to invest in the S&P 500 later.
Right.
So,
literally, that's what we're doing. The first business week, I would call it, of the year. It's like we're going out and, doing a business mastermind that's really going to help us dissect what we're doing and really validate, our intention and our goals for 2025, right? So like we're literally starting. We never tell you guys to do anything that we don't do, right? Nothing is theory, right? But like now, this is gonna be a great year to refine your skill. How many of y'all, like, even with crypto, whether you're a fan or not, right? You maybe feel like you were behind the curve in 2021, where everybody's talking about NFTs, like, oh, well, shit's already popping, and it's like, it's too late. Imagine if you would have just doubled down on understanding how XRP and Bitcoin and these things work, right? And gotten more confidence around that. If you would have did that, right, you would have been able to experience the most recent bull run that crypto had, right, in 2024, right? So that's another key indicator. Whenever you feel like you're behind on something or you wish you knew more about it, right, that's when you need to double down. So don't invest out of FOMO. Invest in yourself in that season as a reminder. Like, when I have an opportunity for another bull run or whatever, I'm going to be prepared. The last thing you want to do is not know and then put your hard-earned money to something that you don't understand. Right. Because if you don't know, that means you're probably the last to know, which means you're going to get left holding the bag. Right? So what are the things that you like, I wish I knew more about that? I see everybody doing it. Learn about it now. Right? Learn about it now, because there's going to be another economic cycle that you're going to be benefit from. And if you do it right now, that cycle could be, right, at some point in 2025. Yeah.
What are some books that you recommend people like buy now and start reading now if they want to learn more about the market so they have more comfortability? Because like one thing I learned is that most as human beings, we fear we don't understand. So if you don't understand the stock market, and you see a 5% dip, you're gonna lose your mind.
Yep.
But if you really understand stocks, you see a 20% dip, you're gonna get excited. Because again, it's time to buy. So I know fiat is the early current is a
fiat ruins everything.
Fiat
It's
ruins
it's an amazing book. And the reason why I think it's so great, even beyond stocks, is because it's going to teach you about how money works.
Yeah.
Right. I really think that everybody should read. I have a few actually that I'm gonna recommend, but that is one of them. Fiat ruins everything. Another really good book is Broken Money. That's a great book. The Price of Tomorrow is another really good book. And let me give you one that's like really practical that you guys can really benefit from. Actually, Principles by Ray Dalio. It's a meaty.
That was good.
Yeah, it's a meaty read, but I think it's really not just as an investor, but also as a business owner and a person. I think that's a really, really good book. Right. So those are some that I would recommend for 2024. Do you have a book goal for this year? Or is it more so like just personal development overall? Like,
yeah. So I used to read a lot. I used to read 50 books a year back when I started the business, but then I scaled all the way back because here's what I learned: you can read all the books in the world, but if you're not acting on it
or retaining,
it doesn't matter. So I think my goal this year is going to be a book a month, but I'm not allowing myself to read the next book until I've implemented everything from the last book.
Like that.
So if it takes me 2 weeks to finish the book, I have 2 weeks to implement everything I learned before I can start the new book. So,
got you.
I'm actually reading Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill.
That's like an annual. That's
it's top of the year. Yeah, so it's a reread, and it's just everything I need to hear right now. So
you sent me a screenshot of one too.
Ego is the Enemy. Which one is that?
Nah, another one. You sent me that, and I sent you one.
Okay, so how to make a couple $1 billion. Yeah. That I did 3 books the month of December. It was good.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. So how to make a couple $1 billion, really just shows how to scale a business from nothing to billions of dollars. So,
and that's another cheat code. Like, is your text thread? Can you go back and see recommendations of investment opportunities or books to read? Like, do an audit on that. Invest in who you surround yourself with. And and people always say, well, how do I meet? People say, get in the room. How do I meet? Pay for it.
Pay to get in the room. That's it. Like, people would avoid free rooms like the plague. I'm not stepping into a free room because the free room has a bunch of freeable people in there, and all freeable people want to do is take and not give because they don't have anything to give. So if you want to get in the room, pay to get in the room. If you can't figure out a way to pay to get in the room, ask somebody for money to pay for you to get in the room. You'll pay them back. But that's the only way. And shout out to Alex Hormozy, who we're going to see in 2 days. He said, if you want to have a better life, you need to have better friends. But better friends are busier friends. So if you think about the people we know that's 7-8 figure. Right? Your friends that make 6 figures, you can talk to them every day.
Right.
Your friends that make 7 figures, probably talk to them a little less.
Yeah.
Your friends that make 8 figures, you talk to them once or twice a month.
Right.
Because they're busy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I don't have any 9-figure friends yet, but I'm assuming it'll be less than that. Right. So
we'll become the 9-figure friends.
Yeah, we'll become the 9-figure. Yeah, exactly. So better friends are busier friends. So you just have to make the time to get in the right room with the right people and know you're not going to talk to them that often, but when you do talk to them, it's going to be powerful conversations.
Big facts, right? So those are just some of our insights and predictions for 2025. I mean, I think 2025 is going to be a very interesting year. I'm really excited about it. But what do you guys? Let us know in the comments. What do you think 2025 is going to bring? And if you're really spicy, let us know the predictions for your own goals and what you're going to achieve in 2025, and drop that in the comments so that we can reflect on it this time next year to see if you made it come true.
Yep. Until next time.
Until the next episode, guys. Peace.